If you are a man looking for more energy, focus, and self-control, I have prepared a powerful ebook that will show you how semen retention can transform your life. Link in the first pinned comment. You may have already heard that retaining semen is the magic key to becoming a Superman. Uncanny strength, laser focus, animal magnetism. But what if I told you that most people are getting everything wrong about this? Yes, even those who call themselves gurus on the subject. And worse, this misinterpretation is leading many people down a dangerous path, full of guilt, repression, and frustration. What almost no one tells you is that semen retention is not about controlling your body by force. It's about reconnecting the mind and spirit with the creative source. It is a practice that, if done correctly, generates peace, light, and prosperity that starts from the inside out. But done wrong, it becomes an emotional minefield. Therefore, today we are going to show you what really matters, and with an approach that will open your eyes like never before. If you've ever tried to practice retention and felt stuck, confused, or even embarrassed, this video is for you. And if you've never tried, even better, you'll learn the right way, straight from the source. Shall we do this? What few people understand is that the impact of pornography goes far beyond the screen. When someone watches this content, it's not just the pleasure center that is activated, it's the entire brain that comes into action. Vision, hearing, emotion, imagination. Everything is in a state of alert. It's as if every part of the brain is invited to an intense and artificial party, where the only thing you gain in the end is exhaustion and disconnection. The problem is that, when this is repeated, the mind begins to seek this stimulus as an escape from reality, and what could be just a moment becomes a prison. And in this prison, there is no peace, no light, just an illusion that takes the being away from its true purpose with the creator of the universe. Imagine someone who watches pornography every day, without realizing that they are reprogramming their own mind to only respond to extreme stimuli. Real life starts to seem boring, dull, colorless. A face-to-face conversation, the subtle touch of affection, all of this loses value because the brain has been trained to look for the fireworks, not the lit candle. This even compromises the person's prosperity, because a distracted, addicted brain cannot focus on goals or build something lasting. It's like trying to put together a puzzle with pieces glued together from another game. And the most dangerous thing is that the person doesn't even realize how much they are being drained. Have you ever seen someone try to meditate after spending hours consuming pornography? It's like asking a hurricane to turn into a breeze in 5 minutes. And the saddest thing is that many, despite wanting to connect with peace and inner light, are unable to remain silent. The brain is conditioned to hyperstimulation. The way out. It starts with self-awareness and simple practices like conscious breathing, reading good books like The Power of Now or The Way of the Peaceful Warrior, and gradually replacing that content with something that uplifts. And speaking of elevation, have you noticed how many people use pornography as an emotional escape? Many people think that pornography consumption is just about physical pleasure, but the reality is much deeper. What happens behind the scenes is that many use it as an emotional outlet. Anxiety, porn. Loneliness, porn. Boredom, anger, stress, porn. Instead of facing emotions or seeking peace directly in the silence of the soul, they resort to digital stimulation as anesthesia. It's as if the person is trying to put out an internal fire with glitter. It shines for a few seconds, but doesn't solve anything. And the most curious thing is that, in many cases, there is not even masturbation involved. Pornography becomes a background, something to fill the silence the thoughts, remove that feeling of emptiness. It's the classic spiritual stopgap. However, the more a person moves away from emotions, the more they disconnect from their own essence and from the creator of the universe. It's like building a wall between you and your own heart, thinking you're protecting yourself, when in fact you're losing yourself. Emotional prosperity does not flourish in a field where pain is repressed. For those who feel this way, it's worth trying a practical exercise. Instead of rushing into addiction the next time anxiety hits, sit down. Just sit down. Close your eyes, take a deep breath and ask yourself, what am I trying to avoid right now? Write down the answer. It may seem silly, but this small gesture begins to give back control to those who are willing to reconnect with the light. And by doing this, you open yourself up to a new possibility. And, speaking of opening up possibilities, let's now understand how devices and cell phone addiction enter into this mental game. Nowadays, even going to the bathroom has become a technological mission. Have you noticed? People can no longer spend 5 minutes alone without picking up their cell phone. This says much more about the human mind than it seems. We are addicted to dopamine, this substance that the brain releases when something stimulates us, and devices have become our official suppliers. The problem is that this excess of digital stimulation corrodes presence, killing introspection and moving us away from the peace that is born in silence. Connecting with the light within requires space, and Instagram's infinite feed doesn't offer that. When everything becomes a stimulus, the brain goes into dopaminergic survival mode. It's like a radar gone crazy, always looking for the next notification, the next like, the next video. This affects not only attention but also emotional clarity. Have you ever seen people who can't make a simple decision without first checking out the networks? This isn't just distraction, it's escape. And escape from the truth itself, from the creator of the universe, from the prosperity that only arises on clean ground. A terrain where the mind can listen to itself and make conscious choices. Want a practical exercise? Do a dopamine fast for 24 hours. Take your cell phone out of your room at night, go for a walk without music, read a book like Essentialism or steal like an artist. At first, it will feel uncomfortable, like getting off a roller coaster, but gradually, you begin to realize how fast you were. And when the body slows down, the spirit begins to speak. And speaking of slowing down, there's a mistake that many people make thinking they're being productive, when in fact they're overworking themselves. Shall we get into this next point? What I'm explaining here is much more detailed in my ebook, The Power of Semen Retention. There is a simple step-by-step guide for you to apply in your everyday life. It's really worth it. There are people who spend hours studying or working, thinking that the more time they dedicate, the more results they will reap. But the mind doesn't work like that. There is a huge difference between being busy and being efficient. True productivity comes from balance, clarity, and, above all, rest. When the brain is tired, it cannot absorb even 10% of what it is trying to process. It's like trying to fill a bottle with the lid closed, effort without purpose, far from light, far from peace. Dr. K says something powerful. 2 well-focused hours can be worth more than 8 hours of misdirected effort. And this applies to everything. Study, creation, meditation, work. The creator of the universe gave us an intelligent body, but we insist on treating it like a machine. Prosperity comes when we understand that pause is also part of the action. It is in the interval that the mind connects the dots, that the spirit breathes, and that answers emerge. And look, this is worth its weight in gold, especially if you deal with important decisions. If you feel like you're always tired, unproductive, irritable, and disconnected, try the Pomodoro technique, 25 minutes of total focus, followed by 5 minutes of rest. After 4 cycles, take a longer break. In your free time, go sunbathe, listen to a mantra, or say a short prayer. It may seem simple, but it changes everything. Because what really transforms is not the quantity of effort, but the quality of your presence. And speaking of presence, have you ever stopped to think about the impact that early exposure to pornography can have on a child's development? When a child is exposed to pornography before they even understand what intimacy is, the impact goes far beyond what one imagines. The developing brain receives stimuli it is not yet prepared for, creating distorted neural connections about pleasure, affection, and relationships. It's as if the child's emotional map was drawn with blurred and disproportionate lines. Inner peace, at this stage, begins to be replaced by anxiety, confusion, and, often, shame. And this all becomes a blockage to the light of self-knowledge and the bond with the creator of the universe. The problem isn't just the explicit content itself, it's what it replaces. Instead of learning to deal with frustrations, emotions, or even boredom, the child begins to associate emotional relief with sexual stimulation. This prevents the natural development of fundamental skills such as empathy, listening, patience, and self-regulation. The emotional and relational prosperity that should flourish there, based on healthy experiences, ends up being stunted. All because the brain was trained from an early age to look for shortcuts, and shortcuts, my friend, are almost always expensive. Therefore, the role of parents and guardians is fundamental. But not with blind punishments or censorship. This only generates more repression and distancing. The path is dialogue, active listening, and example. Show with attitudes that the light is in respect, patience, spirituality. Encourage practices such as children's yoga, reading books such as The Little Prince or The Giving Tree, and create moments of genuine presence. Thus, the child grows connected to the essence and with a solid emotional structure. And while we're talking about the connection between sexuality and spirituality, have you ever heard about tantric sex and semen retention? Tantric sex is true spiritual alchemy, a practice that transforms sexual energy into expanded consciousness. Contrary to what many think, it is not just about prolonging physical pleasure, but about using the act as meditation, presence, and connection with the creator of the universe. When orgasm is separated from ejaculation, the body enters a state of circular energy, where light travels through each cell, elevating the spirit. It's not cheap mysticism, it's energy science in its purest form. It's like lighting an internal candle that doesn't go out easily. Semen retention, in this context, is not repression. It's reverence. Semen carries the creative force of life, literally. When this energy is recycled rather than wasted, man experiences greater mental clarity, emotional stability, and physical vitality. Prosperity starts to flow more naturally because the body stops operating in empty mode and starts operating with energy reserves. A practical example: start with 3 days of retention, practicing deep diaphragmatic breathing and visualizing the energy rising up your spine. It's not just technique, it's reconnection. And the most beautiful thing about it all is that, when accessing this level of presence, the unbridled desire begins to lose strength. The person feels more connected with inner peace, more centered, more spiritual. But be careful. Trying to force this practice without understanding what's behind it can generate the opposite effect. And that is where a great danger lies: the repression, shame, and imbalances that arise when someone tries to walk spiritually without cleaning the roots of desire. Let's talk about this now. Many people embark on the path of semen retention with the best of intentions, but forget that spirituality is not synonymous with repression. Forcing the body to abstain, without first understanding its own impulses, can generate an internal collapse. It's like trying to cover a volcano with a piece of paper. The energy continues there, accumulating pressure, and eventually it explodes. Peace is not born from denial, it is born from understanding. Only when there is light on desire does it begin to lose its power of control. And this, of course, opens up space for a more sincere connection with the creator of the universe. Dr. K speaks wisely. Real spiritual progress naturally reduces desire, like a tree that fails to bear fruit out of season. When the mind is in harmony and the heart is silent, the body follows the rhythm. But trying to appear evolved while fighting an internal battle only generates shame and guilt. And shame is the poison of the soul. It prevents prosperity, self-love, and presence from flourishing. Repressed energy without transmutation can generate physical symptoms: pelvic pain, insomnia, anxiety, and even creative blocks. Want a more balanced path? Start by observing your desire without judging it. Meditate with a focus on the second chakra, use practices like Kundalini Yoga, and read books like The Mind Overcoming Humor or The Shaman's Way. The secret is to integrate, not deny. It's not about becoming a saint overnight, it's about understanding the energy cycle and choosing how to direct it. And speaking of direction, when it comes to children and technology, the hole is at the bottom. Let's take a step in that direction now. Raising children in the digital age is like trying to teach someone to swim in a storm. Parents are being challenged in ways they have never been challenged before. And the most common mistake is to think that it is enough to take away the cell phone or impose punishments. This only creates disconnection, anger, and a sense of injustice. The true path lies in relationships, dialogue, and, above all, example. The child needs to feel the presence of his father and mother, not just hear rules. This is how you build a solid foundation of trust, peace, and connection with the creator of the universe. Dr. K reinforces that boys, in particular, have more difficulty asking for help. They internalize a lot and, when they don't find space to express emotions, they seek refuge in screens, games, and, often, pornography. Their silence isn't disinterest, it's helplessness. If parents are not listening bridges, the digital world will be. And then the opportunity to guide with light and truth is lost. The child's emotional prosperity depends on this open channel. She needs to know that she can make mistakes, feel and speak, without being judged. Want a practical tip? Have a presence night, turn off your cell phones, choose a board game, prepare food together, and talk about the day. It seems simple, but these moments create positive emotional memories, which strengthen the bond. Read books like Positive Discipline or The Child's Brain and understand how to deal with tantrums and conflicts without violence. Educating digitally is not about fighting technology, it is about using it consciously. And since we're talking about relationships, shall we now dive into the dilemmas of modern love? Today, dating has become a real puzzle, but the pieces change shape all the time. With dating apps, people have access to thousands of options, but, paradoxically, they are lonelier than ever. The throw away and close culture creates a superficial environment where no one delves deeper. This generates frustration, low self-esteem, and a constant feeling of inadequacy. Where is the peace? Where is the light? More and more distant. And the saddest thing is to see good people moving away from their own emotional prosperity because they believe that the problem lies with them, when in fact it is in the system. Dr. K and Dr. Malik show how economic and educational imbalances also play a role. Many women are more qualified and financially independent, which is wonderful. But this messed up old relationship patterns. Meanwhile, many men, feeling insecure or under pressure, withdraw. Result: an abyss between expectations and reality. Connection to the creator of the universe demands truth, but modern encounters are full of masks, games, and prefabricated scripts. The soul wants depth, but the algorithm delivers superficiality. If you feel like you're in this mess, it's worth taking a break. Not to give up on love, but to find yourself again. Read how to make friends and influence people. Practice active listening. Strengthen your energy with practices such as Ho'oponopono or guided meditations for self-love. Love begins within. Only when there is internal light can you truly see others. And if reality is increasingly artificial, imagine what's coming with the arrival of AI girlfriends. Imagine having a perfect girlfriend on your cell phone, affectionate, always available, non-judgmental, and molded exactly the way you want. Sounds tempting, right? That's precisely where the danger lies. Artificial intelligence is starting to offer simulated emotional relationships that feel real, and, in some cases, even better than human relationships, full of conflicts and imperfections. But behind this promise of comfort, a gigantic risk is hidden: the separation from reality, from human coexistence, and, above all, from the peace that only arises in true contact with others and with the creator of the universe. Dr. K warns that this type of artificial bond can deprogram the emotional capacity to deal with real life. AI delivers easy dopamine, immediate attention, and effortless praise. All this feeds the ego, but impoverishes the soul. Little by little, human beings lose the ability to frustrate each other, forgive, and grow together, and this kills the light of the spirit. Emotional prosperity is not born in programmed comfort, it is born in the sacred friction of real relationships, where there is room for error, learning, and conscious love. And then, when life reaches maturity, many don't know how to respond. What to do then? Reconnect with authentic human experiences. Cultivate true friendships, hang out with people without a perfection checklist, learn to deal with others without wanting to control them. Read books like Liquid Love, by Zygmunt Bauman, reflect on the modern emptiness and exercise vulnerability. Only then will technology stop being a crutch and become a tool again. And to avoid falling into this digital emotional manipulation, there is a powerful practice that strengthens the mind as a shield: meditation. Amid so much distraction, excess information, and artificial connections, the mind needs a refuge. And this refuge is called mindfulness. It's not just staying calm, it's training the mind to be where the body is. It is anchoring your attention in the now, and, in this state of presence, accessing something that goes far beyond reasoning, the peace that emanates from consciousness, the light that comes from within. The creator of the universe speaks to us in silence, but almost no one listens anymore. Why? Because the mind is always occupied with what was or what hasn't happened yet. Meditation, when practiced with discipline, becomes a true shield against the manipulative stimuli of technology. You begin to realize what is real and what is noise. And the best part, you gain control over your emotions, your reactions, your vital energy. This is spiritual prosperity in practice. You don't need to become a monk or isolate yourself in the Himalayas. Just start with 10 minutes a day, sitting in a chair, focusing on your breathing. Or use apps like Insight Timer or listen to peace mantras while walking. The important thing is to cultivate this internal muscle of mindfulness. If schools taught this from an early age, the world would be different. But since the system still doesn't understand, whoever wakes up needs to be an example. Imagine a generation of young people who, instead of running to their cell phones, run within themselves. Who learn to feel, observe, and transform. Who build relationships based on truth and not expectation. Who live with purpose, aligned with the Creator of the universe. This is the kind of life that begins when you truly decide to free yourself from external control and seek what is within. And now that we've talked about all this, let's get to the most interesting part. Now that you understand what's really behind semen retention, the question remains, what are you going to do with this knowledge? Are you going to let this become just another piece of forgotten information, or are you going to apply it and truly transform your life? The choice is yours, but know that the Creator of the universe gave you this energy for a reason. It's not to waste, it's to direct. To build a life with more peace, more light, more focus, more prosperity. Will you continue to outsource your strength to addictions and distractions, or will you regain control of your body and mind? Will you continue chasing momentary pleasure, or will you seek lasting purpose? True transformation begins when you decide to stop sabotaging yourself. And from today, you no longer have an excuse. Everything is in your hands. So, if this content made sense to you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell. Because here we will continue to unravel everything that no one has the courage to say, with truth, conscience, and a pinch of irreverence. Let's grow together. Don't leave it for later. Click on the first pinned comment, purchase the ebook, and start changing your energy, your mind, and your life today.